Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret, unity, truth, and synthesis. As a dedicated student of philosophy, finally reaching Chapter 32 of Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma honestly felt like standing at the summit of a massive mountain. For the longest time, I've been on this personal path of self-improvement, really trying to figure out how to live a more meaningful life, and maybe you're in that exact same boat. While this chapter isn't just another lesson to toss onto a pile of notes, it is the synthesis. It's where every single thing we've learned finally clicks together into one cohesive whole, turning abstract theory into actual lived experience. Let's get right into it.
So what does it truly mean to understand? Looking back at this huge journey, this is the foundational question that just kept stopping me in my tracks. Think about it. As students of life, we consume so much information, right? We read the books, we listen to the lectures, we hoard all these facts. But I eventually realized that knowing is definitely not the same thing as understanding. Knowing is just collecting the puzzle pieces. Understanding is stepping back and seeing the entire picture. This question right here is the gateway to synthesizing all our past life lessons. We're finally moving from just memorizing neat ideas to truly grasping their essence and seeing how they actively shape our everyday reality.
Now, I'll admit, when I first heard the phrase the royal secret, my mind immediately jumped to, hidden codes, locked vaults, or some ancient mystery guarded by a secret society. But the ultimate realization that I actually brought back to my daily life is so much more profound than a simple riddle. The royal secret is not a hidden code, but the profound realization that everything is connected, and differences are simply expressions of unity. It's this deep internal knowing. It teaches us that the differences we obsess over in the world, the conflicts, the opposing views, are mostly just our own limited perception. True wisdom sees the oneness hiding behind all of that complexity. It's realizing the universe absolutely isn't a collection of separate, broken fragments, but a beautifully unified whole where every single piece belongs.
And looking back at my own personal evolution, I realized pretty quickly that I couldn't just skip ahead to the enlightenment part. There's a real path of life lessons here. It all started with discipline. The hard, completely unglamorous work of controlling myself and my impulses. But it's exactly that self-control that naturally led to leadership, where I suddenly had to take responsibility for more than just myself. Of course, leadership without heart is basically just tyranny, so then I had to learn compassion, to connect deeply with the people around me. That connection cleared the mental clutter, allowing me to seek truth with absolute clarity. And finally, armed with that truth, I found courage, the ability to take purposeful, meaningful action. Literally every single step on this timeline is a necessary, unskippable building block for the next.
I used to totally fall into this trap of picking a favorite virtue. I'd think to myself, well, I'm a person of compassion, and then I'd completely ignore discipline. Or I'd pride myself on my courage, but totally forget to seek the truth first. But here's the thing. Wisdom is not choosing one, it is integrating all. True mastery is kind of like working a giant loom. It requires us to take every single one of those fragmented lessons and weave them tightly together. Wisdom is absolutely not a multiple-choice test where you just select your favorite option and ditch the rest. It's the integration of the whole curriculum. The enlightened student gets that you need the firmness of discipline matched perfectly with the softness of compassion. You need the whole shebang, functioning together all at once.
Synthesizing all this really forced me to challenge a foundational way I used to think. Let's be honest, as humans, we are completely obsessed with duality. We view life as this dramatic battle of rigid opposites, right versus wrong, light versus dark, success versus failure. We constantly think we have to defeat one to champion the other. But the higher understanding I eventually stepped into revealed that these aren't actually enemies at all. They are entirely complementary forces. You literally can't understand the brilliance of light without the stark contrast of dark. Your successes, they are built 100% on the foundations of your failures. When we finally stop viewing the world as this rigid battlefield of opposites, we unlock a much deeper, far more harmonious perspective of reality. And when we do move past those rigid opposites, we step out onto a tightrope. We arrive at balance as the highest state. But let me be clear, this is not some passive neutrality. It's not about just standing in the middle of the road, shrugging your shoulders. It is the active, incredibly clear-minded mastery of marrying your logic and intuition. It is knowing exactly when to yield with strength and compassion. It's finding that perfect rhythm between taking bold action and stepping back for quiet reflection. Balance is the highest state specifically because it requires constant active awareness. It's a dynamic equilibrium, and trust me, it takes all of your focus and all of your skill to maintain it.
Okay, let's take a slow breath and really absorb this next one, because it was a profound shift in my own journey. Truth is not given, it is realized. As a student, I honestly used to think a book, a guru, or even an explainer like this one would just hand me the ultimate truth on a silver platter. But deep understanding doesn't come from an external source. You can memorize literally every philosophical text ever written, but until you live it, until you actually test it against the friction of your own messy daily life, it is just trivia. Truth is something that wakes up inside you through reflection, experience, and quiet awareness. It is this internal click, an aha moment that belongs entirely to you. So, by turning my focus completely inward, I discovered what is basically the ultimate plot twist. The secret I had been desperately searching for wasn't out there. It wasn't some exotic destination I could travel to. It was staring right back at me in the mirror. It's an inner journey that boils down to self-awareness, inner clarity, and personal realization. Everything we've studied up to this point, every single challenge we faced, was really just a mirror designed to point us right back to ourselves. To master the universe, you first have to completely map out and master the landscape of your own mind and heart.
And what actually happens when we achieve that inner clarity? Well, the entire library of knowledge we've built up transforms into a path forward. Wisdom becomes action. Because look, if I just sit in a room meditating on my self-awareness all day and never actually engage with the world, I haven't truly learned the lesson, have I? The enlightened student doesn't just know things. They act with awareness. They think with clarity. They live their everyday lives with laser-focused intention. Whether you are leading a massive team, raising a family, or literally just going about your daily chores, this synthesized wisdom totally changes how you show up in the world. It's no longer just about knowing what is right. It's about doing what is right naturally and consistently.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to realize that the true journey is actually just beginning for both of us. We are now carrying around way more than just information. We carry a completely new perspective. Always remember that the deepest truth isn't something you find hidden under a rock or tucked away in the pages of an old book. It's something you become through your actions, your balance, and your lived experience. So armed with all of this synthesis, I want to leave you with the exact same questions I ask myself every single day. How will you live what you've learned? What will you become? Step out into your life with intention, stay endlessly curious, and keep seeking that inner unity. Catch you next time.